new digital scan of the Titanic has offered an unprecedented insight into the ship's final moments. A detailed three-dimensional reconstruction of the wreck.
Over a century after the Titanic sank, its story still haunts and fascinates us. In 2025, the innovative AI technology created the very first full 3D digital scan of the ship's wreck, far beyond blurry photos or stitched footage. This virtual replica captured every detail, including twisted metal, scattered debris, even forgotten belongings. But the real revelation came from what the AI found is hidden structural flaws, overlooked damage, and personal items that challenge the official narrative. Powered by deep-sea robotics and machine learning, this scan reshapes our understanding of Titanic's final moments. So what secrets does the wreck still hold? Let's uncover them together. A new theory on the ship's final moments. Everybody thinks about Titanic as being too deep, too broken, and too fragile to ever fully examine. Since its discovery in 1985 by Robert Ballard, most of what we know about the wreck has come from blurry footage, partial dives, or isolated artifact recovery. But in 2025, deep-sea specialists from Magellan Ltd. Partnered with Atlantic Productions to conduct the most challenging mission yet, using syncable drones and AI-powered capturing tools.
They recently released an incredible three-dimensional scan of the shipwreck of the Titanic. I mean, look at it. It's absolutely amazing.
They scanned the entire wreck site, creating an exact 3D digital model of the Titanic in surprising clarity. This was not a simple photography session. The team captured over 700,000 images across more than 200 hours of dive time. These were then merged together using AI to produce a full, realistic photographic scan of the wreck. The ship lies 12,500 feet down in below-freezing darkness, but the new model makes it feel like it's right in front of you. It's the first time anyone has seen the Titanic in its complete shape since April 1912. This scan granted historians and engineers to view the Titanic as it is today, without the limitations of low visibility or rusty, deteriorating metal. Even more than a century after it sank, the Titanic remains a curiosity of assumptions. While the official cause was a crash with an iceberg, many people have questioned how such a big, unsinkable ship can be sunk down so quickly. Some theories point to poor quality bolts, welds that may have popped on accident. Others suggest there was a coal fire fuming for days before the journey that weakened the ship's hull. But still, the story of Titanic is overflowing with conspiracy theories. One of the most steady is the Olympic switch theory, which claims Titanic's sister ship, the RMS Olympic, was damaged in an earlier incident and secretly swapped with Titanic for an insurance scam. Historians dismiss this as fiction with all their might, but it's a sign of how deeply the mystery still grasps the public. But the newest major revelation from AI scans shows that the Titanic didn't break the way we thought it did. As per Park Stevenson, the model clearly shows that when the bow sinked downward, the stern got pulled vertically, which causes an extreme twist that ripped apart the ship more chaotically than previously assumed. The previous assumptions said the ship split clearly on the surface. Now, some experts believe that the center of the ship clasped under stress, possibly splitting even before the final break shown in movies and old documentaries. But the AI scan suggests that the hull shows signs of twisting and tearing under full pressure. One section of the starboard bow that was previously buried under sediment reveals buckling that points to violent internal stresses, possibly from the ship's boiler rooms collapsing. This could rewrite our understanding of how quickly the ship went under and why so many lifeboats failed to launch properly. A global tragedy that shocked the world. The Titanic was more than just a huge ship. It was a symbol of modernity in an era when everyone was obsessed with innovation. Titanic characterized mankind's confidence, or maybe arrogance, that technology could conquer nature. The managing director of White Star Lines, Captain Smith, stated that either of the vessels, Olympic and Titanic, could be cut in half, and each half would remain afloat. The statement shows overconfidence, which led to the disaster. The ship had luxurious ballrooms, electric elevators, which were the art itself, and a Marconi wireless telegraph. It was like a floating palace beat for the millionaires, but marketed as everyone's achievement. When the Titanic sank on April 15, 1912, the news traveled fast across the globe. Headlines exclaimed of the death toll, the frozen Atlantic, and the failure of human-made engineering. More than 1,500 lives were lost, making it one of the deadliest maritime disasters in history. At first, many refused to accept the tragedy. How could the pride of British engineering, the most technologically advanced ship ever built, can sink? Families waited with hope, newspapers printed misinformation, and government delayed to announce as because of unsurety of how to break the news. But the truth was undeniable by the morning of April 16th. Many crowds gathered outside the White Star Line's office for hours in New York, desperate for the coming news. The streets outside the newspaper headquarters in London were blocked with people. Newspapers like the New York Times, The Guardian, and Le Figaro ran multiple-page spreads that were filled with passenger lists and chilling headlines like, "Titanic lost, 1,500 dead." The New York Times, April 16, 1912. The incident resulted in a wave of global mourning. The Titanic had passengers from over 20 nationalities, including Americans, British, Swedes, Japanese, and Chinese. Nearly all countries showed expression of grief, including Ireland, Canada, France, and Germany. But it wasn't just about the numbers, but about who had died. Millionaires like John Jacob Astor IV, immigrant families who were dreaming of a better life, and entire ship crews who never left their posts. The tragedy represented the fragility of life, despite anyone's status or wealth. Figures like King George V expressed deep sorrow, and U.S. President William Taft mourned publicly the loss of his military aide, Major Archibald Butt. The impact was devastating in Southampton, where most of the crew came from. Memorials were built in cities across Europe and North America. Maritime laws changed and led to the establishment of the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, in 1914, commanding new regulations that required ships to carry enough lifeboats for everyone and for radios to be operated without a break, 24/7. The Titanic's sinking changed the world's perspective of safety, class, and human helplessness. Hollywood's lifelong obsession with Titanic. Hollywood's fascination with the Titanic is not just about the mishap, it's about the romance surrounded by ruins, rich versus poor, technology versus humility. It didn't take long for the Titanic to reach Hollywood. In fact, the first film about this disaster, named Saved from the Titanic, was released just 29 days after the ship's horrific incident. And ironically, it starred a real-life survivor, Dorothy Gibson. She wore the same clothes she was wearing during the escape. The ship has never left pop culture since then. Dozens of films, TV shows, books, and even musicals have told its story. The most iconic, of course, is James Cameron's Titanic, 1997. With 11 Oscars, it portrayed a love story that captured millions with stunning visual effects. It was a historical detail blended with fictional romance that reignited global fascination with the doomed ship. But it wasn't just a movie. Cameron used deep-sea dives to the wreck, capturing real images and basing much of the set design on historical accuracy. He even funded additional exploration missions and further contributed to Titanic research. The Titanic was the Mount Everest of shipwrecks. I had to see it with my own eyes, said James Cameron in 2001. Even today, documentaries continue to be published. From National Geographic specials to Netflix originals, Titanic is still alive virtually. And now, with this AI scan, we're living in another cinematic moment. Scientists and artists both are likely considering virtual reality reconstructions, educational 3D experiences, and even possible film recreations using the new data. Titanic is no longer just a memory of the wrecked ship, it's becoming digitally immortal. Human traces in the deep. Some disasters fade with time, but the Titanic didn't. Its name alone triggers images of doomed elegance, human pride, and icy tragedy in people's minds. It represents an era with all its lavishness and inequality. Titanic's legacy becomes personal. Schools teach it. Writers reinterpret it. Tourists visit Titanic museums from Belfast to Tennessee to witness the remains. Artifacts recovered from the wreck have sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars, with entire exhibitions organized for them. In many ways, this AI scan is the next chapter in a century-long legacy, not just of technology and archaeology, but of storytelling. The most haunting thing about this scan isn't the ship, but it's the human debris around it. A small leather pouch, a child's porcelain doll head, shoes lying in pairs, and a woman's high-heeled boot still upstanding. These objects remain undisturbed for over a century, now appearing clearly in digital form. Each one tells a silent story about the chaos and fear of that night. For every new discovery made in the depth of the sea, there's a wave on social media, in books, and on screen. This ship may be resting at the bottom of the ocean, but its story is still very much alive. Unanswered questions the AI might solve. Regardless of decades of exploration, some key questions about Titanic still remain. Why did it break apart the way it did? Were all lifeboats truly launched? What exactly happened in those final 2 hours? The AI scans now give us precise views of the ship's every centimeter condition. The scan revealed 6 fully functional lifeboat davits still standing. Researchers can now see exactly how the hull split, where the rivets failed, and how each compartment filled with water. According to naval architecture Simon Benson, the collision took 6.3 seconds only. In a release, Titanic analyst Park Stevenson said, "I have been studying Titanic for 20 years, but this is a true game changer. What we are seeing for the first time is an accurate and true depiction of the entire wreck and debris site. I'm seeing details that none of us have ever seen before, and this allows me to build upon everything that we have learned to date and see the wreck in a new light."
That the wreck on the bottom is actually Titanic. And this isn't going to matter to these people because they're dead set on it. They love this idea. They're not letting it go.
New digital tools may even allow a minute-by-minute reconstruction of the sinking for the first time. There's also interest in using machine learning to match passenger stories with objects on the wreck site. Imagine identifying a lost diary, a wedding ring, or a suitcase, linking them back to their stories. We're on the edge of a revolution in underwater forensics, and the Titanic is the first test case. The Titanic's hidden debris field. The Titanic's hidden debris helped reconstruct the mechanics of the sinking. Fragment clusters indicate where bulkheads failed. Metal shred gives traces of the twisting path of the stern as it twists during the descent. The corrosion patterns suggest how long the different sections remained merged before collapse or drowning. Contrary to previous beliefs that debris was limited and concentrated on the gaping bow and twisted stern, it covers over 3 square miles. This includes light fixtures, sections of the Marconi room, intact portholes, and crushed deck levels. Belongings from a single cabin are scattered together, that suggesting the forced ejection during the collapse of the structure. The AI model even helped identify the possible remains of the Marconi room, a discovery that stunned historians. If part of that communications hub survived, it could confirm or challenge survivor timelines, possibly even expose more about who ignored the SOS. The hidden debris field that was once hidden beyond sonar's reach has now become an open archive, an underwater library of human history. And thanks to AI, that those stories now speak again. The bow and stern tell 2 different stories. The AI-powered 3D scan makes one thing astonishingly clear, that the bow and stern just did not separate physically. It tells 2 different stories about the tearing apart of these 2 in the final moments. Starting with the bow, it is weirdly intact. Its majestic curves are still recognizable. The bow section sank into the ocean floor at full speed. According to Park Stevenson, the bow's descent was sleek while slicing through the waves. It is kind of a time capsule that's frozen in the moment before final destruction. About the stern? It's a completely different thing to talk. The stern, which was long ignored as unrecognizable, is now becoming digitally recognized. It twisted violently during the sinking when the Titanic broke. The AI scan shows the horrific structural collapse in which the steel bent backward, the machinery far from its original position. Give it a view as someone crushed it by some invisible hand. The level of destruction in the stern shows unimaginable pressure changes as it dropped to the seabed. Through AI mapping, we now understand where steel decks collapsed on top of each other, how the bulkheads exploded inward, and which sections twisted violently during descent. This gives experts a much better idea about the last 15 minutes, of where passengers stood or clung during the final plunge. One persistent theory of construction shortcuts has been confirmed by the scan. The AI scan shows the irregular rivet spacing, inferior quality in certain metal seams, and buckling where stress was highest. Under political and financial pressure to meet deadlines, the Belfast shipyard may have compromised on material durability. It was a risk that the ocean eventually punished. The infamous iceberg collision may not have been a direct edgewise hit after all. Instead, the AI-generated model suggests a corner-to-corner angle impact, a slow peel along the understructure, and structural damage in a can opener pattern. This creatively changes how flooding occurred. Compartments believed to be secure may have collapsed much earlier than anyone thought. The Stoker's sacrifice, what the boiler rooms reveal. The AI scan gave a unique view into the boiler rooms, which were once thought to be completely destroyed. It had 29 boilers, run by more than 170 firemen, also named as stokers. These men worked in severe heat, shoveling coal continuously to fill the furnaces that powered the ship's engine. When the iceberg hit, chaos did not immediately reach to these lower decks. To everyone's surprise, some rooms remained structurally intact. The iron support beams were bent, but not shattered, and the pathways showed signs of human movement even during inside flooding. Additionally, these findings support eyewitness accounts that ship engineers were shoveling coal into the ship's furnaces in order to keep the lights on for as long as possible as passengers escaped. It suggests many engineers and enginemen stayed below, keeping the lights on until their very last breath. This fact was long assumed and is now digitally verified. According to historian Don Lynch, this meant that dozens of the stokers stayed behind intentionally, just to give time for others to escape. Survivor Frederick Barrett revealed how terrific the moment was. He brought to mind how a deafening roar surged into the boiler room and steam blasted from cracked pipes. And still some men remained at their posts, even when escape was possible. Because they were keeping the lights on and pumps running, that meant more people could survive. The scan also uncovered the structure of the Titanic's class system. First-class cabins still show elegant outlines. Third-class rooms are claustrophobic and collapsed. Escape pathways for third class were very few, confirming accounts of blocked routes and confusion. This physical data supports the social injustice aboard the Titanic, because class wasn't only economic, it was life or death. The most emotional realization about the Titanic now tells its own story. Not through survivor statements, not through blueprints, but through the truth unfolding by AI. The bends in the steel, the cracks in the beams, the scattered personal effects all tell the same thing, that this didn't have to happen. Why does this story, out of so many tragic ones, still matter? The Titanic was the largest ship of its time, but it's also symbolic. The unsinkable ship that sank, the rich and poor side by side, the lost love stories, the missed opportunities. Even today, forums like YouTube documentaries and entire communities online are dedicated to Titanic research. When news broke about the AI scan, social media bombarded with posts about the 3D model of the ship. The AI scans have left people astonished that's visible in viral threads, with people zooming into the 3D wreck, analyzing every detail. I honestly have to say that this new full-size digital scan of the Titanic is absolutely really amazing, that we can see the wreck of this pretty lady in a whole new way. This is a collective obsession with understanding, grieving, and connecting. In a way, we all know the Titanic wasn't just a ship. It was, and still is, a mirror of human ambition and unstableness. Over 100 years later, beneath the sea, the Titanic isn't just a haunted ship anymore, it's a mirror. Thanks to AI, we now see it clearly, free from any myth and Hollywood glamour. Every broken part tells a story of pride, failure, and unheard warnings. This scan doesn't just reveal the wreck, it reveals us and offers a powerful reminder to finally learn from history. If this story of technology uncovering secrets long lost beneath the ocean moved you, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into history, mystery, and science. What do you think the AI will find next? Another hidden truth? Or a piece of the past better left undisturbed? Drop your theories in the comments below, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss an update from the edge of discovery.